Once upon a time, the infamous rover Renardo plundered the floating isles. Then his mother called him to her deathbed. "Swear to me that you won't die on the gallows," she rasped. Reluctantly, he swore. And he whiled away his days at home with music, cards, and wine. But the Emperor had changed. He'd been good once, a shy, almost humble toad. He'd built universities. Then people started whispering about mass graves in the woods, midnight rituals, victims screaming. The Imperial Ravens would round up entire villages, and no one ever returned. The Ravens had come to Ubar scouting for ancient books said to be of great power. But the librarians had hidden the books, so they'd burnt the librarians. The citizens, outraged, had driven them off. The Ravens had come back with dropships. The kid had fled with one of those books. He was brave and dumb and wanted to join the rebellion. And Renardo had promised his mother he'd protect him. The kid was looking down, watching his city burn. "Sorry, kid," Renardo told the kid. "Look, if we give them the book, they'll leave you alone." "My mother died for this book!" "I promised her I'd protect you." Oh, damn it. The kid had run off. With the book, of course. So Renardo had to run after him. The two ravens were staring at the kid like he was their dinner, which probably was what was in their tiny brains. "Hey," Renardo said. They cocked their heads at him. "Pick on someone as ugly as you." Wait, that didn't come out right. "For the Emperor!" The ravens cawed and rushed at him. A dropship flew overhead. He hoped they hadn't noticed him. The kid. Oh, right. The Gate of Heroes. Someone's idea of a joke, making the Skyship docks a gated community. You needed a hero's sword to open it. And the kid was on the other side of the gate. Who let you through? Promise me you'll take the book to the rebels, or I'm gonna steal your ship. I'm not taking that damn book anywhere, and neither are you. Try and stop me, laughed the kid. I bet you don't even have a hero sword. And with that, the kid hopped away. Had to hand it to the kid. He was an idiot, but he had guts. Where was Renardo going to get a hero sword? I could forge a hero sword here, but I'm going to need ore. I hope nobody minds if I use this stuff. Hero Sword, QED. This is what he got for settling down and finding people to care about. The kid's mum had been a swell cook, and she'd laughed at Renardo's jokes, even when he didn't know he'd made one. And then the ravens had come to burn her. And she'd made him promise to protect the kid. But she never told him where the book was, just the kid. He came up to a ledge. It was too far to jump. There'd been a bridge here before, hadn't there? And there was Peter, giggling at him. "How'd you get across?" he asked the kid. "Where'd you find a hook?" "I hopped," said the kid. Wise-ass kid. "Hey, look out behind you!" "Cute," said Renardo. Ah, ravens. It was time to talk some sense into the kid. Just hook his way across the ledge and chase the kid down. Thing was, he hadn't used his hook since he'd retired. How had he done it? Maybe if he meditated at that altar there, he'd remember his old skills. It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember. And there was the Farfarer. She was the fastest ship he'd ever known. She could do the Kestra run in 12 furlongs. Oh, so the salesman had told him. And something told him the kid was about to walk into an ambush. "Stop!" he shouted. "I'm not giving you the book!" shouted the kid, and took off. "No! Peter!" But the kid ran for it, and a goggler nailed him with its idol. The book was unburned. Next to it were the buckles from the kid's shoes, and a kid-sized pile of ashes. Damn it, why hadn't he lied and told the kid he'd take the book to the rebels? The kid would be alive now. Really pissed off and betrayed, but alive. Oh, damn it. Renardo picked up the book. He couldn't let the Empire have it now. He was going to have to get it out of there. He'd be a wanted man. Probably have to join the rebellion just to have a place to dock. Well, he'd hated home life anyway. What was the big deal about this book anyway? Maybe he should open it and find out. All that had been years ago. How many? The war was a blur, and now 3 Raven scout ships were chasing him. "Where are you running, rebel?" cawed the Raven captain over the loudhailer. Renardo could see them cranking up their catapults. "Just going out for milk?" Renardo yelled back. "Where can you run?" laughed the Raven horribly. Far behind him, another city was burning. The dark cloud above its island was thousands of Imperial ships. The fleet was doing a thorough job. "Take us to the rebel base! I will spare your life!" it cawed. The entire jury-rigged rebel fleet was only a few islands to the east. Beyond that were only the pillars of heaven. sea of endless blood-colored tornadoes. The rebellion was out of time, unless Renardo could bring a game-changer. Maybe he could. Renardo had found out where he could find the pieces of the Sky Ripper, the legendary weapon that had exiled the lost gods. Surely a legendary weapon could win the final battle. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino had sent Renardo a desperate message saying he had a brilliant scheme to save the rebellion. If Renardo could only rescue him. Renardo dived the Farfarer towards the abyss. As he felt the heat of the jet stream, the Raven ships peeled off, not stable enough to follow him down there. Now it was time to choose. Lapino or the Sky Ripper?
Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. The Ravens had figured out that Lapino was a rebel spy. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens? Renardo's blood was up. He just needed to smash something. Renardo wondered if it wasn't cheaper to build bridges and stairs. People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Renardo had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the Ravens caw about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice. Firewalls only let you through if they think you're hot enough. Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lapino. Where had the Mad Rabbit got to? A present? For me?
It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he probably remembered.
Renard felt a chill run down his back. Or possibly a flea. So much. It was time to turn it into something he could use. Dirty and bloody, Renardo finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renardo recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, we see this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power. Zenobia wasn't just the Emperor's daughter, of course. She'd been Renardo's best friend in Sword Fu school. And you're still mad for her, the rabbit reminded him. They'd been close. She'd told him things no one else knew, but she'd never told him who she really was.
She knows all the Emperor's plans, chuckled the master spy.
She won't give them up easily.
She'll tell the interrogators, all right,
said Lapino. Taking her would change the game, all right. The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renardo shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty.
What does the fox say?
Asked one raven. Another one called back,
No, I'm dying!
and they both laughed hysterically.
Anyone ever tell you have a lovely eye? No?
So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renardo hiding inside a monstrous watermelon.
What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renardo. Oh, this is gonna be fun, said Lupino as he ran to go set up his marvelous plan.
If I craft a sword now, it's going to be really short.
Renardo felt dubious about the whole plan. With every step, he was waiting for it all to go horribly wrong. But against all odds, Lupino's idiotic plan worked. Zenobia's ravens ran off after the geese, the net dropped, and Renardo jumped out of the watermelon and put his sword to Zenobia's throat.
Renardo, she said, are those new scars? They look good on you.
You never return my velvet jacket. It was my favorite.
You look stupid in velvet.
Oh, what does an imperial princess know about style? Oh, get a room, you two, said Lupino. But the fleet was coming on fast, so they put Zenobia on the Farfarer and took her east over the Nexus. She'd vanished from Swordfu School, from his life, without even saying goodbye, without ever telling him she was the Emperor's adopted daughter. Ah, Lupino was right, Renardo thought reluctantly. She knows things. She recognized his look. You're taking me to the interrogators, aren't you? She said, wide-eyed. And then she jumped, with horror. Renardo saw Zenobia plummeting. Then he saw the Nexus below them. Cats always land on their feet. Ah, she'll head for the Imperial outpost, yelled Lupino. You have to catch her. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. If he ran, he could head her off before she reached her minions at the outpost. Well, he did love a good chase. Who needed bridges anyway?
He was closing on her. He could smell her fear. He tried not to think about the interrogators at the secret base. What did they do to her? Maybe it didn't have to end that way. Maybe he could talk to her. But, after all, there were worse things the Imperials had done to friends of his.
Renard felt a little better.
Renard reached the outpost. The Imperials there were no match for him. Soon after, Zenobia limped up the path. When she realized he was already in front of her, she didn't even try to run. "Oh, you left without saying goodbye." Again, he said, "Please, I'm enjoying this a little too much." She said, shaken. "Oh, spare us the chit-chat, would you?" said Lapino as he shackled her hands so she couldn't throw spells. She knows all his plans. All the way back to the Farfarer, Lapino nagged Renardo about how the interrogators would pry all the intel out of Zenobia. How that would turn the tides in the imminent battle. All they had to do was take her to the rebel secret base. Renardo didn't like to think about what the interrogators would do to her. Couldn't he just talk to her? As they reached the ruins, Renardo could see ravens everywhere, searching for the rebel base. They'd have to hide the Farfarer or go on foot. "What if we get separated?" asked Lapino, for once thinking ahead. "I'll show you a map to the base." Renardo told Lapino. "Renardo, don't do this," said Zenobia. "We were friends once. We..." "Shut it, witch, or I'll shackle your mouth too," said Lapino. And then, a few moments later, they touched down. As Lapino pulled Zenobia off the Farfarer, Renardo readied himself for the battle ahead. "I'm sorry I nicked your jacket," she said. "It's just... oh, God. It's stupid, but it smelled like you." "What?" he said, confused. "Then why didn't you ride? Why didn't you far speak?" "Oh, save the romantic nostalgia. Let's go!" shrieked Lapino. So Renardo launched himself down the path to the secret base. Renardo felt like he was ready to learn new things. Thank goodness he didn't have to go to school for that. "This is quite the view," he thought. They caught their breath. "It's beautiful," she said, looking at the ruins. "This used to be the library of Ubar," he said, "before your father's ravens smashed it." "Do we have to talk politics?" she asked. "That's not how I want to remember you," she said with an odd, wistful look at her face. She was as beautiful as she'd ever been, and as brave. Lapino huffed. They got back on the trail. These things really slice like ham. Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. Come over here. Renardo wondered if he could learn to cook this way. Probably not. As they made their way to the secret rebel base, Renardo felt strange. Zenobia was his prisoner, yet somehow she felt more like an old friend. He wanted to tell her all his secrets, but suddenly the ruins lit up with thousands of fireworks. There was a thunderous roar and dust rose. The caves were collapsing. The caves! "You've been playing me?" Renardo said, and he stared at Zenobia. "I'm sorry," she said, and she seemed almost embarrassed. Then everything went dark. When Renardo came to, he had a terrible headache. Also, Zenobia's sword was at his throat, and her shackles were gone. So was Lapino. "The terrible thing is," he said, "I really have missed you. Now that we've destroyed the rebellion, would you consider becoming an advisor to the Emperor's daughter?" "I'm no one's servant. Everybody serves. Even if it's only destiny. I like to choose my own destinies," he said. "The whole point of a destiny is you can't choose." "Oh, never mind," she said. "Look, if I see you again, I'll have to kill you." He watched her ship soar away. He would see her again, he decided, even if he had to fight his way across the entire fleet. The Imperial fleet was cleaning up the few rebel remnants. For only a moment, he thought about running. But heroes don't run, even when the world is against them. Even when their cause is hopeless and their efforts futile and pointless and useless and death painful and guaranteed. He's decided to stop thinking for a while.